Okay, I have 9 o'clock, and why don't we go ahead and get started? Um, our first session today is census data for municipalities, and it's being presented by Nicole McKenzie, who is a data dissemination specialist for the U.S. Census Bureau. Nicole provides training and assistance on data products and tools for customers in New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts. And she also served as New Hampshire's senior partnership specialist during the 2020 census, which is when I got to know her, when we were working on how to make sure the census got well known throughout the state. Nicole also has over 20 years of experience in the private sector as the co-founder of a grant acquisition and management company where she worked in partnership with private businesses, nonprofit organizations, educational institutions, and government entities to research, write, and manage grant-funded projects. So at this point, I will turn it over to Nicole. And as a reminder, all throughout the day, all of these sessions are being recorded. So your turn, Nicole.
All right. Well, thank you for the introduction, Ken. I want to say good morning to everyone and welcome to Census Data for Municipalities. I'd like to thank Ken and the Office of Planning and Development for inviting me today to share information on census data and explore some of our tools that makes the data a little bit easier to access. So I know it's early on a Saturday morning. I hope you have your coffee in hand and are ready to explore some of our data tools. So first, let me share a little bit about the data dissemination and training branch where I work at the Census Bureau. We have roughly 35 data dissemination specialists located throughout the country. And as Ken mentioned, I cover New Hampshire as well as Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts as well. So you or your organization can request free data training at any time. I can work with you to customize a presentation, then provide in-person or virtual workshops on topics and tools that will help you meet your specific data needs. Sometimes it's hard to find our data. The tools are there, but they do require a little training to know how to navigate through them. So it's my job to help customers learn about Census Bureau data and how to access it. I love to do that, so I welcome you to call me or contact me at any time. So the Data Dissemination Training Branch, we also house the Census Academy. This is a learning hub for data census tools. Here you can find all kinds of helpful information on how to access census data using one of our 58 data tools. Yes, that 58 data tools. So we have a lot of them. If you're short on time, which many people are, we have data gems. These are short videos that help you quickly increase your knowledge in specific areas. I find these average 4 to 6 minutes in length, and they're gems. They definitely help you learn a bit of information quickly in a short amount of time. So we also offer live webinars, and then the webinars we have recorded. And we also have courses on this site. You can contact us at any time. And as always, all of our training is free. And we're always happy to help you learn about the census data and help you find what you need for your specific community. So here's an outline of what I am going over today in the workshop. First, I'm going to provide a brief overview of Census Bureau surveys and data, including our most popular surveys, how data can be accessed and customized, and I'll also review the various geographical levels of data available. I'll then review a few data tools that will help people, it'll be helpful to municipalities, including tools that can help you provide data for you quickly. And then we also have other data that you can't find quite as quickly, but you can customize it. And it has mapping features. And that would be like a data.census.gov tool, which I'm going to give you 3 exercises in that tool and show you some of the capability that it has. And then lastly is the fun part where I will be providing the live demos. I'm going to try to get through 3 of our tools to provide you, maybe 4 tools, to show you how they work and spark your interest. And just remember, we have limited time, so I can always, you can always reach out to me and I can provide more in-depth training on any of these tools. So why do we need good data? We need good data. We need to see where we are now. If we don't know our community, then we are unable to see its strengths, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and opportunities. Good data helps us predict future trends. So having reliable sources of data and comparing it over time allows us to predict, for example, if our community is showing increased number of children, then we need to plan for more schools. It also helps us inform decisions. So knowing where we are at and where we're going helps us plan. Planning departments can prioritize spending on roads more traveled. Community grant writers can show funding needs based on geographical areas of high poverty and so on. So breaking census data down at the lowest geographic levels can lay the foundation for any strategic plan. Population, housing, income data, for example, are the root of decision making for community development. Likewise, census data is used in revenue allocation, and it's an essential element in formulas for distribution of money based at the local, state, and federal funding levels. So how can census data help municipalities? This slide provides an overview. I'm sure, I'm speaking to the choir here. Many of you know this, but just a listing here of some of the ways that municipalities can use our data. Can help draw the county, city, and district lines. It can help you analyze labor supply. This can help you attract employers if you have an abundance of labor in your area. Help forecast housing needs. This is huge in New Hampshire right now. We have, a large need for housing. It helps you understand changing community demographics. So is your community getting older? Is it getting younger? Or new languages coming in? What's your community look like and how is it changing? That helps for that future planning. Forecasting future transportation needs. There's a lot of people working at home now. However, I have a tool that will show you directions of commuters when they leave an area to go out to another area to work. What are the roads they're traveling on? Do those roads need to be upgraded or prioritized? It helps you establish emergency management programs and priorities, plans for hospitals, nursing homes, schools, just basically understanding your community and knowing what it needs. So a little bit about the Census Bureau. The U.S. Census Bureau is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and we are the largest of 17 primary federal governmental statistical agencies. Our mission is to serve as the leading source of quality data about America's people and its economy. We're often asked what we do in the other 9 years when we aren't counting everyone in the nation during a decennial census. And I can tell you that we are conducting over 130 surveys and programs of households and businesses across the nation. These surveys provide data users, communities, businesses with reliable, timely, and accurate data that helps to inform the decisions, access and distribute the funding, and again, planning for community programs and development. So the decennial census, it can't be argued. We are best known for the decennial census as we hire more than 500,000 employees to help us conduct it, which makes us the largest employer within the federal government during decennial operations. We all remember the 2020 census. We were in the middle of a pandemic. The 2020 census was the first year people could respond online, which was fantastic given the situation that we were in. So that was quite a process. But how do we use that decennial information that we get? It helps us apportion the congressional representation. The results from the decennial census are also used by the state to draw those district lines and voting precinct lines. And then one of the main uses is it helps distribute more than $675 billion in federal funds each year. And this is through approximately 320 federal programs. So it assists federal, tribal, state, and local governments, as well as nonprofits and businesses making those informed decisions, which help shape the community and shape the future. So this chart, I'd love to include this chart because it shows a little history on how the American Community Survey evolved. And I don't know if you're familiar, and I'll go into the American Community Survey shortly. It's one of our most popular and greatest data gatherer surveys, but it basically spawned from the decennial census. So as you can see on the map, the decennial census in 1940, it actually had two parts, and many of you may remember there was a short form and a long form. One in every 8 households would get the long form. Those were maybe the not so lucky households, but the long form had really good data on it. And what we ended up doing is in 2005, we broke that long form off. That became the American Community Survey, and which is, I will tell you about that in a moment. But so 2010 and up to 2020, the decennial became that short form that you saw in 2020. It was 10 or 11 questions. People could finish it in 10 minutes. It was pretty easy to do. But the long form has continued on as the American Community Survey. And I know a lot of people don't know where that came from, and that's just a little history lesson in the American Community Survey. So what is it? It's an ongoing monthly survey. So we conduct the American Community Survey every month. We survey 3.5 million addresses every year. And as I mentioned, the data goes back to 2005. It produces timely data for small areas and population groups previously collected on that decennial form. The good thing is it's collecting it more often, so we don't have to wait every 10 years for this data. It covers 35 topics, including employment, occupation, veteran status, commuting, and many other areas. And it supports 300 or more known government uses. So the estimates are released annually, and it's used in many of our data tools, as you will soon see when I demo some of them. If you look to the right, you'll see key dates. We have the ACS 1-year period estimates. Those come out in September. So the 2022 1-year period estimates will be released September of this year, and the 5-year period estimates will be released in December of this year for 2022. So this slide, it shows you the different characteristics. We just learned a little bit about what the American Community Survey is. This shows you data content as gathered from the questions asked on the survey. So the content can be grouped into these 4 characteristic types. We have social, demographic, economic, and housing. And you'll see there's a lot of really in-depth information in these categories. You can see under the social, you can get information on disability, fertility, migration, school enrollment. Demographic has some of your age and race, sex information. Economic provides information on employment, income. And then housing, which is, again, I emphasize in New Hampshire right now, housing is a pretty hot topic. The housing, it provides information on home value, occupancy, structure, year that it was built. And, the year that it was built, I know that we had a community that was looking to find houses that were built before 1978 to see how many, what percentage of their housing stock could potentially have lead paint. And so they used ACS data to find what the percentage was in their community that could have potential lead paint. The bottom of this chart, I have data profile tables, DPO2, DPO3, DPO4, DPO5. Those, we are going to learn a little bit more about those, but when we go into our tools, we have data tables, and we have a lot of data tables. These 4 data tables here are some of our most frequently used data tables, and they correlate to the information characteristics from the American Community Survey. So if you're looking for housing information from the American Community Survey, you could simply search for the table DPO4 in one of our data.census.gov tools, which I will show you. Or you could, if you're looking for social, you could click in DPO2, and that would provide that information. So I mentioned period estimates. So what are the period estimates? This is an important slide as we go into our data tools to be aware of. So the ACS collects data, as I said, monthly over a period of time, where 1 year is 12 months of data collection, 5 years, 60 months of data collection. These are known as our 1-year and 5-year period estimates. This is important to know. when you're using our data tools, as the 1-year estimates are only available for geographies of 65,000 or more. If you're looking for data on smaller geographies, which we often are in New Hampshire, we need to look at the 5-year period estimates. So I know sometimes people will go into our tools and they're trying to find the 1-year estimates for a small town in New Hampshire and it's not available. They have to then change it to the 5-year estimates, and that's where you can get your data. So this is our hierarchy of geographic areas. So it's important to understand that not all data is available for all geographies. This diagram shows the hierarchy of census geography. The lower geographies often nest within the higher geographies, and they're shown on this chart directly connected with lines. So some geographies, like metropolitan statistical areas, may cross boundaries of states. So they are shown on here as nesting and are falling under the nation. So if you're looking for a metropolitan statistical area, you first, you look for that under the nation. You wouldn't look for that under the state because it could cross state lines. And as you'll see, the highest geographic level is the national level, and the smallest is down to the block level. However, data at the block level is only available from that decennial data. You can't find American Community Survey information or data at the block level due to data privacy. So the smallest geography you can get with American Community Survey would be at the block group level. So block groups, just to give you an idea, the population of a block group is roughly 600 to 3,000. And the population of a census tract can be anywhere from 1,200 to 8,000 in population, with the optimum size being about 4,000. We do a lot of research and data collection by census tract. So there are many ways to access our data, and each of these ways has a different format and appeal. First, you have data visualizations. These are easy to use and you can quickly find statistics. However, they can't be customized. And I'll show you where you can find those on our website. We have interactive tools. This is what I'll be demonstrating. They are customizable and you can access data on one table for multiple geographies. And they also have some great mapping features that give you a wonderful visualization of the geographies you're looking at. We also have the application programming interface as a way to get our data. This is typically used by developers and software engineers to create custom queries. It allows data to be pulled into their specific products or applications. And then we have the file transfer protocol. This is for experienced users like the state data centers, news media. They'll use this data call to analyze it as soon as it's released. And this is what is used for redistricting. So census.gov, as I mentioned, we have approximately 58 different data tools. We are only going to have time to explore a few of them today. And I wanted to give you a sampling of some of our more popular ones. And remember, you can always request more in-depth training. I'm more than happy to come out. Sometimes I'll do a training that's an hour and a half on one tool. So, and a tour of our website. So this is a quick sampling today. So the first one I would like to show you is, remember I mentioned that we conduct over 130 different surveys and programs. How would you ever know or even remember what surveys we conduct that provide data on certain topics? Well, this tool, the Census Survey Explorer, is a great way to help you sort through some of our numerous surveys to find the ones that you're specifically looking for, or find the data, which surveys contain the data that you're looking for. So as you can see on the slide displays what the landing page of Census Survey Explorer looks like. And to find surveys relative to your needs, you can search by a keyword in the search bar, or you can open one of the drop-down search menus, as you see here, that can search by topic, subtopic, frequency of the survey, or geography level. Since housing is a hot topic in New Hampshire, I've selected housing from the list of options on the topic menu. Now, this is a visualization. We're not live in the tool, but I just put this in there to give you a graphic of what it would look like. So you would click on housing. And when you do that, when you're on our tool, it immediately opens all the surveys below that would be relative to housing. And when I did that, the result is here. It pulled up 22 surveys relative to housing that we conduct. And you can see American Community Survey is at the top. Of course, it's alphabetized, so it would be at the top. But it shows you some of the other surveys conducted that would provide information on housing. The next tool is Quick Facts. This is that quick and easy way to find data. I'm going to show you this when we go live on our website. You'll see I've included the URL link at the bottom right of the slide. All of the data tools on this presentation, which would be available to you after, it has the links directly to the tools. And I'll also show you on our website how to find them on our website. But this tool provides users with easy access to basic population, business, geography statistics for states and counties, and for cities and towns with more than 5,000 people. So that's important. If you're living in, if you're from a municipality of a very small town, Quick Facts isn't the tool for you because it's not going to have the data. You're going to have to go into like a data.census.gov. But if your town or city has more than 5,000 people, you can go on this tool and quickly pull up some great geographies. And if you can see on this slide, if you have your reading glasses on, I have mine on, you can see that I pre-populated some cities in New Hampshire. And the fact that I was looking for was the median household income query, and it brings it right up to the top. So you can see at the top, it compares the median household income for those 3 cities in New Hampshire, and that shows for New Hampshire as a whole as well. And I will demonstrate that live. So the next tool, these I'm going to give you a little overview and then we'll go in live. This is data.census.gov. This is what the landing page looks like. You can either use the single search bar or the advanced search bar on data.census.gov. Either road will lead you to the same place. One road might be easier to navigate than the other, because sometimes if you use the single search bar, it might yield results of over 1,000 tables. So I find that it's easier to use the filters in the advanced search setting. That comes in handy and it helps you quickly narrow down your search. So I will show you an example of that, but feel free to try to, if you're looking for a certain area with a certain topic, put it in the search bar and see what it pulls up. But if you have 1,200 tables that you have to scroll through to find the one you want, you may want to use that advanced search. So what is data.census.gov? It's a platform used to access and visualize demographic and economic data. It produces data analysis at various geographical levels. You're going to see that when I pull it up. You can create reports that are customized to meet your need, and you can directly download data tables from this tool. You can download them in Excel, CSV, or zip. That's remember the 3. So where does the data come from in data.census.gov? So if you look over here to the right, it'll show you that the data in that tool comes from the American Community Survey, Community Resilience Estimates, Decennial Census of the island areas, the Economic Census, which we just completed March 15th. If you're a business and you received that, thank you for responding. We also have the Economic Census of the island areas, economic surveys, population estimates, and from the public sector. So that's where some of the data comes from that drives into data.census.gov. So what can you use data.census.gov for? It can help you answer some of the questions, such as how many children in your community under 5 are there? What towns in your county have the highest and lowest median household incomes? What census tracts in your community has the highest percent of individuals with limited English skills? What areas of your community has the highest housing vacancy rates? That's an interesting one. What area of my community has the lowest median rents? Um, these are all examples of information or questions you can answer with data from data.census.gov. So the next tool that I want to show you and I'll demonstrate is on the map. This is what the landing page on the map looks like, and the URL is at the bottom. And this is kind of a neat map. We're going to just touch lightly on this. As I said, all these data tools can have so much more time spent to getting to all the features. But I'm going to show you it because I think it's a pretty neat tool where it shows you where workers live and where they work. So we'll get into that, and I'll do the demonstration. So when we're in on the map, just so you know, it's a web-based mapping and reporting application. It shows where workers are employed and where they live. And then it also produces data analysis for local areas. It creates job and labor force reports, and it's a customizable analysis area. The data comes from different sources of shared data, existing data that has been brought together to bring information into this tool. And it comes from jobs data, firm data, and person data or demographic data. And you can see underneath all of those kind of the sources of the data that is driven into the tool. So what could you use on the map for? It can answer some of these questions. Where do workers live? Is there a concentration of jobs in my area? Where are workers from my area going to work? What percentage of high wage workers live and work within the city? So these are some of the answers that you can get from looking at on the map. And then we have this. I'm going to show you a brief. This is a pretty neat dashboard that we have. It's a new tool. It's called the Access Broadband Dashboard, and it allows users to analyze maps displaying broadband access statistics. In correlation, it shows select social and economic indicators, including statistics on employment, small business establishments, wages and income, poverty, home values, population change and migration, educational attainment, and real GDP. So you can search any of those criteria and it will pull up that information. And it shows the broadband access correlation. So the URL link to this is at the bottom. It's quite a long link. But there it is. And this is a fun one to look at. If anyone used the Rome mapping tool, which don't ask me what the acronym is, I can't remember, Regional Outreach Area Mapper, maybe. It's kind of similar to that, where you can click on the state or the county level, and in some aspects, the census tract level, and you can get a lot of great information for that specific geography area. So this is a little more information about the Access Broadband tool. So the Access Broadband Act of 2021 was established to increase access to high-speed internet by expanding broadband access to communities in need. And the legislation required that the National Telecommunications and Information Administration report out on the economic impact of federal broadband investments on local economies, including any effect that it would have on small businesses or jobs. So this tool was launched to show how changes in broadband infrastructure expansion may impact local communities. So you can go on our site and you can find a lot of information about this new tool, including, if you see the white box here, it depicts one of our America Counts stories that we've written on this new tool, provides a lot of good information that is worth a read. So now I'm going to take us into the live demo. I'm going to try to do an easy transfer over. So I need to share my screen with you now.
Nicole, you may need
Yeah.
to stop presenting the PowerPoint first.
Okay.
There we go.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that was an easy transition. Okay, thanks, Ken. So here we are. We are live on the census.gov website. This is our landing page. And I'll show you around a little bit first. You can see at the top of the ribbon here, you can come on here and you can search by different topics. So if you hover over this, it pulls up the different topics you can search by. So you can go right in and search information relative to health, to geography, to business and economy. You can also go scroll over to the data and maps section, which pulls up. This is where Census Academy is. So I talked about Census Academy. If you wanted to look at data gems or any of our courses, you can go on here. You can also scroll down to here. This is where you would access our 58 different data tools and applications. So that's an important spot or map to get to. You go to data and maps, you go to data tools and apps, that brings them all up. You could spend a lot of time looking through all of our tools and seeing what they have to offer. You can also look by surveys and programs, or you can look into our resource library and see what we offer. I had talked about some of the stories, visualizations that we provide. They are in this section, as well as some older publications, stats for stories. So this is where you can find that. So I'm going to scroll down, and I just want to show you, if you have to mention this, a lot of times we get questions, and probably as a municipality, you may get questions, you may have questions. If you get a survey in the mail or you have a census worker at your door, with all the scams out there, we all want to know, is this legit? If you come onto our site here on our landing page, this section right here has multiple links on how you can tell if your letter is a legitimate letter from the Census Bureau, if the person at your door really works for the Census Bureau, how to keep your information confidential. So this is just a great resource. I think that it's good for people to know. So now coming down here, I mentioned we're going to find data quickly, and then we're going to take a deeper dive into census data. So these are the first two tools that I am going to show you, and they are on our landing page. So they are two of our most popular tools where people access data. So first, we will go into quick facts. And here we are. So you saw the landing page when I demonstrated it, and I'm just going to show you how quick quick facts is. So I'm gonna type in. I'll use the cities that I had on the slide: Portsmouth City, New Hampshire. And you can see when I type that into the search bar, it immediately put Portsmouth City over here. It has the United States as a whole, and it put in Portsmouth City. If you're just looking for Portsmouth, there you have it. You can scroll down. There's your information. But if you want to compare geographies, you can type in, we'll put in Manchester, and we have Manchester, New Hampshire, a lot of New Hampshire, Manchesters. And I think we had Concord, New Hampshire. So we put in those. Now, and I mentioned also we had, this is for geographies. Right up here, it tells you populations more than 5,000. So you could put in a town here as long as it had a population of more than 5,000. I'll put in Hooksett. I don't know if Hooksett considered a town or a city. We have Hooksett town. Put that in. So, okay, here you go. And we had looked for median household income, but look at all the different quick data sets that you can pull up from Quick Facts. You can find information on population, age and sex. You know how many persons under 5. That's real helpful if you're planning schools. How many kids do you have coming in to the school system? Now, how many persons over 65 do you have in your community? It goes by race, Hispanic origin. You can look up veteran status, housing, information on housing, family and living arrangements, computer and internet use, education, how many people have a bachelor's degree or higher, health, persons without health insurance, is that important to your community? You can find that on Quick Facts. Gives information on the economy, transportation, income and poverty, and I think income and poverty is what we had searched. But I want to scroll down to show you. This has kind of a neat feature. You can actually look up population per square mile. And since our slide had shown us the median income, I'm just going to click on population per square mile. When you do that, it brings it to the top. Basically, that information is at the bottom of this table, but if you click on a certain fact, it'll bring it right to the top view. So you can see here that Hooksett has 412 people per square mile. Concord has 687. Manchester has 3,496 people per square mile, and Portsmouth has 1,402. Now, that may or may not be a data need, but there's certainly multiple data needs that you can find here in Quick Facts. And like I said, it pulls it up really easy. You can map Quick Facts, you can chart it. There's a lot of things you can do here, but for the sake of time, I just wanted to give you a quick overview on how it works. Now, when you are in any place in the Census Bureau's website, you can go down, I like to say rabbit hole. Sometimes you go down a rabbit hole and you're like, how do I get back? One of the easiest ways to get back is you click the icon on the top left and it brings you right back to our main page, which I have found very helpful because I have gotten lost before. So now I'm going to scroll down and we're going to take a deeper dive into the Census Bureau data. And I'm going to bring you into data.census.gov. And the internet is working well this morning. Okay, so here we are at the landing page that I showed you on our presentation. And we have the general search here, and then we have the advanced search here. So for the first exercise, let's say we'll go to the North Country. Let's say Berlin, New Hampshire is looking at, they want to know housing characteristics for the city of Berlin because they may want to build more housing units. So we could just simply type in Berlin, New Hampshire, housing characteristics, and enter and see what we get. Okay, so we have 1,339 tables relative to housing units in Berlin City, New Hampshire. There's a lot of information here. You could scroll down and scroll down and scroll down and view all your tables. That is one of the challenging things sometimes when you do the advanced search. You almost have too many choices. Now, I had mentioned the DPO4 table from the American Community Survey. Usually the more popular surveys or closest to your search results come to the top of your list. DPO4 is right here. So I'm going to click on DPO4. And it should bring up the DPO4 table, which it did. Okay, so here's the DPO4 table. It's showing us, if you look over here to the left, you'll see the filters. So it filtered by Berlin City and housing. We selected the DPO4 table. What you're looking at here is the DPO4 table. If you come up here, you can close this chevron to just give your table. It just makes it cleaner. You can see more of your table. Also, you'll see that we have the margin of error listed. I like to close that out. It just makes it easier to see your estimate and your percent. If you want the margin of error, you can leave it in. If you want to take it out, you just have to toggle back and forth and it'll go on and off with this. So as you can see, this is from the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. You can see the housing in Berlin. So this would be helpful to the city. It shows that they have 4,352 housing units occupied. It shows vacant housing units, homeowner vacancy rate 2.3%, rental vacancy 5.1%. Now, housing's changed a lot in the past year. So, these percentages are maybe not as low as they are now. It may be lower vacancy rates in Berlin now. But this is what we have for the most recent data. It shows them the housing units, how many units. So what their volume, most of their houses are 1 unit detached. It shows mobile homes, 20 or more units in a structure, the year built. So this, it can tell them, how many houses, how the housing units break out by year built. Shows they have a lot of houses built before, or a lot of units, housing units built before 1939. So they have a lot of older buildings and housing units in Berlin. Shows you how many rooms each housing unit has, the percentage of rooms here. The median rooms is 5.3. Tells you your bedrooms, housing tenure, how long has the owner or the renter occupied the building. So as you can see, I don't want to go too fast or too slow. It's hard when you're trying to follow along here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit larger. That might help. Hopefully that helps you all. So vehicles, this is neat. It shows how many parking spaces. This becomes important sometimes in the cities. How many parking spaces are available for each housing unit? How many what's the capacity there? Do they need to build a parking garage if there aren't enough parking spaces? Shows you heating fuel. Most have fuel kerosene. Characteristics, value. So the value, here's the value. And as I mentioned, okay, so this shows that, most of the value is 50 to 99,000 in Berlin of the housing units. We all know that real estate has increased dramatically. So these categories may have shifted, everything may have shifted up, but at least it shows you kind of the breakout so you could get a percent of the housing, how it fits into these categories. And if housing's gone up 50%, you could download this in Excel and kind of figure it out based on the most up-to-date real estate trends. Provides mortgage status, monthly owner costs, rental, utility costs. I mean, just shows you gross rent. There's so much information that you can garner. This is just one table for Berlin. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you this ribbon up here, and it has some good features. If you wanted to download this, you could click Excel. It would download it right to Excel. You could do a CSV or zip file. You could also share it, and when you share it, you can share the link. So it'll bring you right back to this table. Or you can copy this link and save it if it's one of your favorite tables for your favorite geography. You can save it, and it will bring you directly back into the table. Sometimes it takes you a while to find the right table, and once you do, you probably want to save the URL link to it. I'm going to click on the mapping feature. Now, the mapping feature isn't going to be that exciting because we just have one area. We have the city of Berlin. We don't have it broken up by census tracts. We'll do that in a moment. But if you can see, it shows you where Berlin's located up in Coos County. And if you click on the geography of Berlin, it brings up a box which allows you to view the profile. And this is really a neat feature where you can pull up profiles on different geography levels. So here's Berlin, and it shows you the population quickly, the income, education, housing. It gives you a map. If you scroll down, it shows you the age and sex compared to New Hampshire. So if you look, Berlin, the median age is 43.9. New Hampshire overall is 43.1. So it's pretty much on par with the state. A little bit older, but not much. And then if you scroll down, I always love this. This is the population pyramid, and it breaks out the population for Berlin or for whatever geography you're looking at by male, female, and by 5-year increments. So you can see in a visual, obviously Berlin has many more males. I don't know why that is, but they do. And you'll see that, this 25 to 29 age bracket has the majority of males. And then you can see it's for the 85 years and older, the women, you have females that, you have a larger number here. But this is just a great visual of the population by age and number in a geographic area. So you also can see ancestry as you scroll down. Here's the ancestry breakout for Berlin: English, French. Okay, that's not surprising. So 22.8% in the city of Berlin, the ancestry is French. And there's the other breakdown: language spoken at home, other Indo-European. I'm guessing that would be your French is spoken. And you can see native, foreign born. But again, you can scroll and scroll, and it provides all kinds of information. So I wanted to let you know that this is here. It brings up income and poverty, education. So all of those things provides you more detail. And when you do this too, say you want to look at income and poverty for Berlin, it's kind of neat. It gives you a table right here. You can actually click on that table, and it will change you immediately to that table for Berlin. So that's our first example. Now I want to go to a second example. And to do that, I am going back up to the left here. And this time, it's not going to bring you back to the main page because you're in data.census.gov. But what it will do, it refreshes for you and brings you back to the data.census main page. So this time we're going to use the advanced search. And we want to look at the county in Merrimack. The county of Merrimack wants to find which town has the most vacancies, or which city or town has the most vacancies, and they'd like to map it. So we're going to start out with our geography. And when you pull geography up, you can see when you're doing the advanced search, you have many choices for geography. And these are the more popular ones at the top. But if you scroll down, these are all the different types of geographies you can bring up. I mean, counties, you can go to economic place, estate, New England city and town, place. So school district, you can search around, and like I said, we could do a whole day. We could do probably a day of training on everything that data.census has to offer. But we want to find, I'm going to use county subdivision. I find that works well with data.census.gov in New Hampshire if you're looking for a city or town. So we clicked on that. It now asks us, okay, what state do you want to find the county subdivision in? I want to go to New Hampshire, and it asks for a county. So we were going to look in Merrimack County because we were looking for the place in Merrimack County, or the city or town, that has the highest number of vacancy rental property available. So I'm going to click on all counties. And now, so that's giving us, if you see, this is going into the filter. So all county subdivisions within Merrimack County, that's where we're searching. And now we want to find a topic. So we're going to go down to the topics, and you can filter by surveys, by years, but we're going to go into topics, and you'll see all the different topics that we could search by, but we're going to look for this example for housing, and we're going to look at the vacancy rates. And if you scroll over to the right, there's your search. So you click on search, and it pulls up tables. And you can see it pulled up 53 tables this time, a little less to look at. So you can kind of scroll down and find your tables. There are subject tables with occupancy characteristics. I know the DPO4 table has the information we're looking for. So for sake of time, I'm going to click on that, but you could look through all of these and see what they have. And when I mean look through them, you can pull them up, close this chevron, and you can look down and you see here what is available in this table. So if you don't see what you're looking for, you can look for another table. But this is the information on this table. And if you see at the top, it provides rental vacancy rates. So that's what we're looking for. Now, again, I'm going to close the margin of error, makes this a little bit easier to look at. And you can see this table. You can scroll across, and it has all of the tables in all of the towns or cities in Merrimack County with the data that we need. Now, You could download this to Excel and do your analysis, or you could map it. So when you map it, what it immediately brings up, this brings up the total housing units. So you can see, this is Merrimack County. You can see the total housing units. There's the most is right here, which is Concord. So that's not surprising. But we want to find the place that has the most vacancies. So to do that, we're going to scroll over here in the ribbon and we're going to click down variable. And we're going to drop down the menu and we're going to look. Here are all the variables that were in the table. We can actually map it. So we are going to look at rental vacancy rate. And we want an estimate because we want to know the number. How many housing units that are for rent are vacant? Which town has the highest? So immediately the map shows us there are 3 possible answers to our question. And a way to find the answer quickly, sometimes you have more than 3, so it becomes difficult. You can go to the ribbon and click on classes, and it pulls up this histogram. So if you look at the legend over here, it shows there are 3 places that have between 14 and 26 vacant rental housing units. I want to narrow that down to 1. So if I come over to the right, I can take the histogram and I can slide that over. And if you notice, it changes your map and it brings it down to 1. So that's just a tricky way to visualize easily what you're looking for. And here it is. So what town or city is this? This is Newberrytown. So Newberrytown is the answer. It has the most number of vacant units for rent in Merrimack County. And then again, you can view the profile if you want, and you can pull up information on Newberrytown. But we just went through a profile, so I'm not going to look at this in detail. I'm going to click my browser back. And we are going to example number 3. And I'm going to click on the left area to bring us back to, here we are to a familiar spot, to our census, data.census.gov landing spot. So for this next exercise, we're going to go into advanced search. And we want to say the city of Manchester has just received a grant to build an English language education center. And they're looking for the best location in the city based on the population with limited English skills, where that population is in their city to locate this center. So they're going to use data.census.gov to find this. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with geography. And this time we're going to go down to the census tract level. And we are going to search first into this. We're going to get to New Hampshire. And we're not going to look by counties. We're going to come to the top here. We're going to search in New Hampshire within other geographies. And it's going to give us these districts. Now, last time we searched by county subdivision. This time it's not an option up here. So we are going to click on place, which will pull up cities and towns in New Hampshire. We're going to scroll down. They're all alphabetized, which is nice. And we're going to find Manchester City, and we will click on Manchester City. So these are all the census tracts in Manchester. And we don't have to click them all off. We can click on the top box, which allows us to choose all of them. So that is our geography. Now we have to put in our topic. We are looking for people who may have limited English skills. So topics, we're going to choose populations and people, language spoken at home. And then you can see those are in the filter section. We are going over to the right and we will click search. And it brought up 59 tables this time, much better than 1,200. And we can see that, let's see, language spoken at home Here we have one here, limited English speaking household, S1602. So let's try that and see what it provides. Again, it brings up the table. I'm going to close that out to let us see it better. I'm going to close out the margin of error. And does it have? Yep, it does. It has households with limited English speaking households. So I am going to map this because it's a big table. It scrolls over every census tract in Manchester, but let's map it and see what it looks like. I'm going to close this out again, give us more space to look at. So here is a map of the city of Manchester by census tracts. And we're looking at all households. And we want to make sure we have the right variable. So all households, we want, let's see. Actually, I think we have all, yes, we do. We have all households with limited English speaking spill. That was the original one. So we have these areas of census tracts that have limited English skills. When you look at the variable, if you wanted to know their language, their main language is Spanish or Indonesian or Italian, you could find that information. But for this example, we just want to know which area has the most households with limited English skills, so we can put our language center there. So here again, we're going to go to the classes in the ribbon, and we're going to come over here to our histogram, so we can easily find the census tract, which has the highest. We're going to slide that. And as you'll see the map, see how the map changes? It's pretty neat. When you change this, it brings it and it will pop out the tract that you're looking for. So here is tract number 24. And if you click on it, it basically tells you census tract 24. Okay, well, that doesn't really help me too much because I don't know where that census tract is. So we want to zoom in a little bit because we're trying to find a location. So where is this? Still a little hard to see. You can come up into the colors of the ribbon and you can make it a little more transparent. So you can take the color out a bit. You can change the color. You want to change the color. And to get out of this, you just basically go back out into your map. It'll clear that out. So here's the census tract. I still am having a hard time. I see Califf Road, but I want to see it a little bit better, what the area entails. I can click on base map, click detailed. All right, so that provides a little more detail. And if you zoom in, you can start to see, okay, this is the area. It's right along 393. Califf Road goes into Brown Ave. Zoom in a little more, shows you the side streets. So you may want to, the city of Manchester, if they have that funding for a language center, they may want to look at real estate in this census block because this is where the households with the highest number of limited English speaking residents live. So that's a way to find that. So that's data.census.gov. I could do so many more examples. It's really fun to play in this tool. You can find so much information. I'd really encourage you to go in. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. But now I'm going to go over to our tool. And I for sake of time, I saved it for us. I'm just going to click on it and it will bring us to on the map. So hopefully everyone can see on the map here. This is the one that I told you will show you worker patterns, where people live, where people work, and the patterns. So we're going to find a location that we want to look at. We're going to analyze Concord, New Hampshire. I'm going to search in this search bar. This is the landing page. So you can start out by putting your geography in. Let's look in Concord, New Hampshire. Search. And we have Concord, New Hampshire City. And so it brings up Concord, and we're going to click on Perform Analysis on Selected Area. And so it's going to ask us what kind of analysis do we want to perform. So we can look and see, do we want to look where workers live or where they're employed? We can look at the different types. We're going to explore some of these. We can go by the numbers, if you want to compare different years. I want to do all jobs. I want to look by all jobs, not just private primary jobs, but all jobs. And first, I'm just going to do where people work, area profile of the area with jobs. And you click on go in the bottom right, and it generates a report. You can slide this down. You can see the legend. So here is Concord, which is in Merrimack County, and it shows the concentration of where the jobs are in Concord. And you can see to the left, the legend is here, and it shows you, the biggest dark circle has between 1,700 and 4,100 jobs. So this area here seems to be the biggest area of jobs. You can zoom in a little bit too, if you would like. And over here to the right, you can see all jobs, 39,678. And it tells you by worker age. So in Concord, of all the jobs that are there, 51%, the highest percent, are people that work in Concord are between 30 and 54. We do have 31% that are age 55 and older. So that provides some interesting information. It provides earnings. And then it provides industry sector. So what industry sectors do people work in Concord? And if you scroll down, it just shows you the percent, what the number is. And you see healthcare and social assistance is the highest at 24%. The neat thing about this, you can click on that and it will just pull up jobs in the healthcare. And so it shows you, here is that large area, healthcare. And if I zoom in a little more, kind of shows you where that is. I would say that would be Concord Hospital campus, and all the healthcare that's over in this area. You can then change if you want to look at a different industry. You can reset the table. And maybe we go to retail. So where are the retail jobs? That shows them over here. So they're along Loudon Road, Main Street area. So that makes sense to us. So now I want to change. I'm going to go over here to the left where it says change settings. It brings back up our analysis settings. And this time, let's look at the inflow and outflow. You click on it. And it brings up this visual here. So what this is showing us is that 8,188 people who live in Concord work in Concord. It shows that 31,490 people don't live in Concord, but they work there. So they're coming in from other directions. And then it shows 13,461 people who live in Concord are actually traveling to work elsewhere. So that information is interesting, and it provides, just a good idea. It could be for community planning, how many people. This probably changed drastically with work at home, I would imagine. I'm going to change the settings again because I want to see, okay, what distance and direction are people going when they leave Concord? So this is going to show us. So of the people who live in Concord that leave the area, most of them are going south, as you can see from this map up here. Some are going north, and it shows you the mileage. So less than 10 miles. So people who are leaving, who live in Concord, who are going outside to work, 34% of them are traveling less than 10 miles. And then you have the 10 to 24 mile group. You have a small percentage traveling more than 50 miles. We can change the settings again. We can say, all right, well, where are some of the places that they're going? And this is a good information for road improvement. So if you know that most of your people who live, your workers who live in Concord are traveling to Manchester, the road from Concord to Manchester, is one that you want to keep maintained. Some are going to Franklin, Laconia, Suncook. So it just shows you where some of the workers are going. So that's on the map. I could get into more of this, but I want to take you over to the Access Broadband dashboard because that's a new product. I don't know how many of you have seen it. And for sake of time, I have it up on my screen. So I just have to click to go over there. And here we are in Access Broadband Dashboard. So this is the new tool that I mentioned. And what you're seeing here is the percentage of households with a broadband prescription. So if you see the map of the United States, it's pretty neat. New Hampshire is, one of 5 states who has 90% or more households with a broadband subscription. So, that's good for New Hampshire. That looks good. Let's scroll in a little bit so we can zoom in. And you'll see when I zoom in, it breaks it down into the county level. So you can zoom in and you can see New Hampshire by county level. So you can see that 90% or more, it's, the Rockingham, Hillsborough County, they have the 90% or more, but pretty much for all the counties in the state, we're at least at 80% or higher with broadband subscriptions. And then if you zoom in a little bit further, it actually breaks it into census tracts. So this becomes beneficial and helpful. It pulls up the areas that are a little bit lower. So, you have this area. It shows you it's in Sullivan County, has less broadband over there. You can actually, if you zoom in a little further, it brings up the county first, Sullivan, but I was trying to get to that census tract. If you click the arrow over here, it'll show you it's census tract 9755. So that one, that has the lower amount. It looks like maybe a 60 to 69% households with broadband. It's actually 77.3%. So that's one of the lower census tracts in New Hampshire with a broadband subscription. So this is a pretty cool thing. And it shows you much more than the broadband subscription. One of the things when you're looking at the different data elements that you can find in this tool, it's important to make sure you uncheck the layer, because if you go to the next layer, the original layer stays there until you uncheck the other one. So I always just uncheck the layer after I'm done looking at it and go to the next one. So this one shows you the percentage of population living where broadband services are at least 25/3 megabytes per second. This data is only available at the county level. So what you'll find in this broadband dashboard is that some of the elements you're looking for are available at county, some are available at the census tract. So it depends on what you're looking for. But you can see this isn't surprising that, some areas of the North Country and over in the southwestern part of New Hampshire, the access to the faster speeds is limited more than it is in the other parts of the state. So scrolling down, I'm going to uncheck this in case there's something else we want to look at. So you can check percentage of population employed, labor force participation rate, unemployment rate, percentage of workers that work from home. I'm going to just click on this. This would be important with broadband. So you can look, okay, if people are working at home, they need broadband, right? So, this provides that information that you're looking for to see how many people are working from home. It looks like just looking at a color code, I'm going to go here. This right here looks like it has high percentage, 25% or more. And it brings us into Hillsborough County. And if we want to go to the tract level, there is the census tract. And this is all the information about that census tract. So again, you can bring up on the census tract different information regarding that tract. So that's a quick overview of the Census Broad Access Broadband tool, but I did want to show it to you. So now I need to try to get back. Let me see if I can here. Close these out. And let's see.
Oh, I may need to reshare. Hang on.
Oh,
Get back. Just a moment. I will get
trying
that
to
for
get
you.
back to the presentation.
Yeah.
That was my live demo.
Okay. So you can now take control.
So I can now take control. And we were, whoops, sorry, folks. Where was I? I have 4 minutes, so let me get you to the last slide. I hope everybody enjoyed the demos. They were fast, I know. I think it was more to give you an overview of some of the types of demos some of the types of tools that we have. And like I said, there's 58, so we only scratched the surface of what we have available. A lot of times I'll get inquiries from people who are looking for a specific piece of data, and we use several tools to find it. So please reach out. And so on this slide, I've provided my information. As I said, feel free to reach out anytime. You can also use the QR code here. If you scan that, that'll bring you right in, and you can sign up to receive some of our Census Academy information on our webinars and data gems and online courses that we have. So that's it. I don't know if anyone has any questions. We don't have much time left. You can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to answer questions, help you, come and do a presentation for you, or a group that you're involved with. It can be your town, your city. It could be a ancestry group that you're a part of. Census data is pretty versatile, and it's used in many different areas. So, feel free to reach out to me at any time. So I hope you enjoyed your tour and your lessons. And I thank you for your time and wish you a good time in the rest of the conference, and get out and enjoy our weather today in New Hampshire before it rains. So thanks, Ken. I don't know if
Okay.
any questions came up or not, but
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Nicole. This was it's funny. All the time I've been doing census data, but every time I see one of these sessions, there's like, oh yeah, there's another thing that I haven't been doing. So very valuable. There is time for maybe one question or maybe two. If you raise your hand, anybody wants to raise their hand with a question, I can then give you, unmute your microphone for you. Okay. Not seeing any such thing. That's fine. Just want to then move on to the end here and want to thank you very much. Thank you, especially Nicole, but also thank you to everybody else for attending. And there will be as I said earlier in the chat, the slides and the recordings will be available on our website next week. I've posted that link in the chat. And also, please be sure to fill out your evaluation form for this session. We always value all of your feedback. Okay, well, thank you very much. And we will now take a 15-minute break, and we will be back at 10:30 with session 2. Thank you all for coming.